Hey guys, Hallie with Keep It Dirty Off-Road, and in today's video, we're going to go over everything that's wrong with our new to us Gen 1 Raptor. Strapping, dent, rubbing, nasty, backward, wrong strike plate, look at all that soot, that's broken, missing, needs bed support, glued it on. Air filter, that's actually normal. Oil leak. Is it an axle? Need a good rebuild. Thinking, those are ugly. Hell is that? What is this? Faded. Corrosion, rust, corrosion, 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 rust, 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 more rust, 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 rusted, rusted, rust, 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 pin rust, 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 pretty rusted out. More rust, 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 rust. Aside from that, guys, everything else is in really good working order. Hey guys, I'm Haley with Keep It Dirty Off-Road. This channel is all about off-roading with our Raptors, working on the trucks, DIY projects, and we take you guys on our adventures. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So first, let me give you an overview of what this truck is. This is a 2014 Roush Raptor. It was assembled in Michigan. Means it has a supercharger. She had just under 38,000 miles when we picked her up. She has SVC's mid-travel suspension with 2.5-inch coilovers with 3.5-inch bypass in the front. She's got the Howe power steering system, and she's got 4-inch shocks in the back, which if I'm honest, this is overkill. For a lightweight Raptor, this is just too much. 3.5-inch would have been much better back here. She also has the SVC bump stop kit with +3 levers. She is running on methods 35s, but we're gonna fix that. We're gonna put 37s on it. Front and back, she's got RPG's raceline bumpers and a lot of Baja design lights on it. But the truck wasn't perfect, and we don't want a perfect truck. But at the same time, she has a couple issues. We're gonna go over all of those issues, starting with the outside of the truck. Now, while we're at it, we're also gonna take a look at some of the common issues that the Gen 1 has and what our plans are gonna be to fix all those issues. So right off the bat, one of the more obvious ones, the bezels tend to wear differently, and that one has worn out and is now a grayish color. The same thing's happening with the light bar underneath. Another area here, the way they did the wiring for all these lights, there's no individual connectors for each light. They were all wired together, which is a big mistake. That means that if one light fails, you have to splice in rather than just redo a connector. Don't get me wrong, the wiring that they did is quality, but they really should have figured out a way to do splicing in, so that you don't have to worry about that later. Paint's actually in pretty good shape. Front fenders are in really good shape. Some pinstriping. Not sure if you guys can see all that. It's not too bad. Pinstripes really not that bad, but overall, paint's in really good shape. Some major pinstriping back here. Everything back here works. But she does have a few little dings and dents. Dent, dent, dent. Odd location for a dent. This says she's installed correctly. This side is not. On the drive home, the axle started rubbing on the way home. Tie rods are also making contact with the shocks. It's part of the problem with this kit. This kit was not installed correctly, and both sides are making contact. Now, the problem up front with the suspension is look at the condition of it. Rust, corrosion, rust, corrosion, a lot of corrosion, a lot of corrosion, rust, rust, rust. Common theme with this truck. Same thing on this side. Shock bodies are pretty messed up. A lot of rust, more rust, more rust. Calipers, rust. Good thing is all this is going to be replaced. Let's move on to the back. So on this side, shocks are pretty nasty. It's like, ooh, look at those shocks. It's pretty grody. Obviously rust. That bump stop kit is actually installed incorrectly. That's the wrong strike plate. That's an RPG strike plate. Should be an SVC strike plate because, you know, this is an SVC bump stop kit. Same thing over here. Shocks are nasty. Bump stop installed backwards. See the bolts? Those are backwards. They should be facing the other way. And again, wrong strike plate and more rust. This truck has the cutoff exhaust. Now, if you guys are wondering why is this thing not a good thing, for the most part, cutoff exhausts are for the off-roaders. And the big problem you have is one, look at all that soot on my rear axle. I have quite a bit of it. But second, all that noise goes straight into the ground and then bounces off the ground and goes straight into the bed, and it resonates off the bed and it makes everything sound louder. What makes it worse too is all that noise goes in through the cab vents in between the cabs. So you get so much extra noise into the cab. So that's something I want to fix. I want to route that exhaust to come out the back somehow, maybe just like we did last time, have it just kind of tucked away into the frame and be a little bit quieter, but keep that cool ass sound so it's not so much in the cab. Going to the back, let's open up the tailgate. This just sucks. Yeah, that comes down hard. There's no brace in it. That's broken. That little rubber stopper's missing. Should look like that. It's actually sitting right over there. That's actually in really good shape. Got no complaints here. That's actually in really good shape. Needs bed support though. These sides fall apart really easy, so we gotta add some bed support here. Gen 1 beds are actually much weaker. Gen 2 bed is basically just 3 parts. You have your bed with the sides, and that's it. The Gen 1 has the floor, has this bed side, has this corner, and it just makes it that much weaker. In fact, if you don't add any kind of bed supports, Gen 1 beds will fall apart so much quicker than the Gen 2 bed. Shocks, got some rust on them. Pretty gross. More rust, pretty gross. This is the top view of the shocks. Like I said, they definitely need a good rebuild. And look at these shocks. They definitely need a good rebuild. Just normal stuff. You know, it's kind of stuff that happens with these trucks as they get older. I think this build is at least 5 years old, so that's probably why. Now, here is my biggest pet peeve. Oh my God, I can't believe this guy did this. So he installed the antenna on the roof, which this is not a bad thing. If you're gonna install on the roof, that's also gonna give you the best ground plate, so it is the best option. But the way you do it matters. This guy glued it on. The whole thing is glued on. And if you look, it's on the weakest part of the roof. So as we're going along, this is making noise, this is flopping. We actually had to add some tape because it was whistling like crazy. And guys, there's so many better options for this. Do not do this to your truck. Best option really is the third brake light mounts. There's two types. There's one that just sits in front of this, and then there's the GJ Motorsports or the Evil manufacturing ones. They are expensive because of the lights, guys, but it's a much better solution than this crap. If you are gonna do this, do a magnetic mount for the Gen 1 Raptors. Don't do this, don't drill your cabs. If you absolutely positively have to drill, pick a stronger spot. Because that right there, eventually this is gonna crack. So this is one of the reasons why as soon as we can, we're gonna get this fixed up. We're gonna get this hole covered up, get this swapped out. It's no bueno. We got most of the stuff on the outside. Let's take a look at the engine now and show you guys some of the issues there and some of the areas we're gonna have to fix. Now starting up at the front, we got more rust, some rust there, that bolt's rusted, that one's rusted. We got the half power steering pump that's got a little bit of corrosion, but as far as things wrong, that's about it here. There are a couple areas though that I do want to go over here that you want to take care of. One is power steering. You definitely want to upgrade the power steering system on the Gen 1s because the stock system is very weak and it's known to fail. Probably the best solution you can get is this house system. It replaces the power steering pump and it replaces the actual reservoir. You get a much stronger bracket that holds it into place. The stock one will actually fall off. This right here is a worthwhile upgrade. You want to do this to your truck. It will make a huge difference. It'll increase the life of your steering, period. Every Gen 1 that plans to do any off-roading should have something like this, either the HOW or something similar. Every time I turn the steering wheel to the left, nothing to the right. That's actually normal. The house power steering system is supposed to make that noise. Another area we need to take care of, fuse 27. This little guy right here. Fuse 27 is for the fuel pump and it needs to be relocated. In fact, this little guy right here is undersized and it really should be one of these larger pins and that should be relocated. There's plenty of videos on how to do that, guys. We're going to do that on this truck, but yeah, make sure you get that done. We actually have the kit inside in the armrest. That's one of the projects we're going to do. This truck's also a supercharged truck. It does have a catch can. I'm not a fan of those. Yeah, it is what it is. Another area we need to address here is cooling. Cooling is a big problem with these trucks. They are known to overheat. I mean, it's a big V8. It's going to overheat. So the transmission cooler is something we're going to look at upgrading. We definitely need something better than this. It looks flimsy. And we may even look at doing some better engine cooling too, doing like an upgraded radiator or doing some more fans back here because overheating is a problem with the Gen 1s. And this is not me dogging on the Gen 1, guys. I've been riding with Raptors a long time. We get Gen 1s all the time. Temperatures hit over 100. Gen 1s are always overheating. They all have problems if you push hard enough. And if you're like me, you're going to be one of those guys that's going to be pushing on the limits of the stock trucks are doing. I want to make sure that the cooling is taken care of because this is supercharged. It being supercharged, it's going to be some more issues with cooling. Okay, moving on to some of the other areas we got to take a look at. So we do have to take extra belts with us because they do go through belts like crazy. So that is something we're going to change out to a fresh belt at some point so we can get familiar how to do it. And then we're going to carry extra spares with us. Another thing we're going to take care of up here is the air filter. There is no air filter for the vent system in here. Infinity Off-Road makes a really good system that we're going to put in this truck. And we're going to get that taken care of here in the next couple of weeks. So we have some nice cleaner on the inside and no more dust in the cab like our Gen 2 had. 2020 Gen 2 had so much dust in the cab, it's not even funny, guys. And I think that's it on the engine side, guys. So again, power steering, Fuse 27, better cooling for the transmission and better cooling for the engine. Both are key for this truck because they are known to have problems with that stuff. She also, her air filter was pretty dirty when we got it. The good thing is the previous owner gave us 2 extra, so we're going to run the extra spare. Now, there is a drawback to these. This is the oil-based filters, right? These are like the K&N filters. These guys don't do that great in dust. In fact, they cake up in dust. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on these, and there's a good thing that there's 3 because we're going to have to keep swapping these out. You'd rather be running a dry filter here for the dust. The dry filters cope better with dust. The wet filters, they get clogged with dust, which is a problem, and that affects your performance. So we got to keep a close eye on that. Yeah, another issue we have under here. You guys see that? We live in California. See what that says? It's not California emissions. So we got to work with Roush on this. We've been trying to get a hold of them. Unfortunately, they haven't responded yet, but we got to work with Roush to figure out what do we need to do to make this truck compliant. We may need to do a different tune. I don't know, but there is something we have to do. And then look at the bolts. More rust, more rust. That's the common problem here. That little bit like right there might worry me, but we have to just clean that off and hope for the best. First look under here. So one thing that's cool. Benefit. Oh yeah. We'll have to take no skid plates off to get there, which that's kind of weird that these don't have skid plates for the transmission. That's weird to me.
I think the transmission's built different.
We'll have to figure something out, but overall, I think it's in good shape. I mean, there is a little bit of rust right in there, but it hasn't took hold yet. overall back here, it looks really good for an Ohio truck. Little to no rust, a lot of surface stuff. You know, like that's all surface. Exhaust is fucking nasty rusted.
What is this?
That's the exhaust.
Why does it go right there?
Yeah, it goes to both sides of the engine.
What?
But overall, it looks good back here. You know, there's the reason why the exhaust is so loud. Look how tiny that thing is. Tiny.
Oh, that's small as hell.
See over here how we're doing. Yeah, see, there's a little bit of rust right here we got to take care of. But that's all surface. That's not bad. Yeah, I mean, typical stuff, but overall it's in good shape. This guy definitely hit some shit. He's done some treating before. You can see by the paint. Calipers, look how rusted the calipers are. We may have to take care of those though. Look how rusted the shocks are. It's like they never got under this thing to wash it, Ethan. Wait, what the fuck is that? Can I get a flashlight? So we do have some kind of oil leak under here. I don't know what this is coming from, but see it on the lines. It's on the starter cables. Whatever that sensor is, or dipstick or whatever. More rust. 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 More rust. Rust. Hand rust. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna underneath that. Rust. Rust. Rubbing. Exhaust. Pretty rusted out. These are actually in good shape. Normally when you get these, this is pretty much tore up. I actually want to look at a proper reinforcement here. Not just a slot delete, but a proper reinforcement of this whole front end. You guys can see. Missing an axle, mainly because that side's completely installed all wrong. Ball joint needs to be replaced. We're going to replace all the ball joints. And we're going to rebuild all the shocks. The shocks need a good rebuild. They're overdue. See the brake line? That's routed all wrong. That's got to be relocated or it's going to get ripped off. Overall, the front, though, looks good. It's all minor rust. There's nothing like really nasty rust or anything like that. Let's go look at the back. Shocks leaking. It's been leaking for a while. More rust. I do want to show you guys one area right here. So even though we're showing some rust here, this whole back area is in really good shape. Normally, these are completely rotted out. Moisture gets in here and it just completely rots out this whole area. But it's all in really good shape. Just overall out under here, it's in really good shape. It's just dirty. Loud as fucking exhaust. And I mean loud. What else down here? Diff looks like it's in pretty good shape. No issues there. Just a lot of surface rust. See that up there? Some surface rust. Once we start running the truck, that's all gonna get sandblasted away with the desert. That's something we gotta fix before we hit dirt. And we're planning on it. Look at those welds. Man, those are ugly ass welds. This is what I was telling you guys about the shop that touched this truck.
Where exactly did they touch you?
Didn't do a good job at all. Those are ugly. Those have got to be redone. And there's some rust on the calipers. More rust. A lot of rust. Look at all that rust over there. What the hell is that? And why isn't it on this side? What is this, guys? Kind of loose in there. What is its purpose? It moves around a lot. What does it do? Huh. I don't know what that does. More rust. Rust. That whole thing's rusted. I'd love to know what that actually does because it's just sitting there loose. More rust on the lines. The calipers. You can see all that soot from the exhaust. That's not good. That's also a reason why I want to relocate that exhaust and have it dump out somewhere back here. There is a little bit extra rust on the bed that I'm not liking. See, there's rust on the fasteners. A little bit of extra rust everywhere. Rust! Another thing I want to note, guys, is look at the gaps in the SVC kit. We've seen a bunch of these getting installed over the years. Some have crazy gaps, some don't. This one is nice and snug. It looks like it's good. The Raptor core truck we looked at a couple months ago, it was not snug. There was gaps both in the front and the back of that thing. So that's kind of cool to see this one's a little bit stronger. She still has the stock diff cover. We're going to change that. I want to change it to the Ford Performance one because we plan on doing regular oil changes of that diff. So we're going to change that out to the Ford Performance one and going to update our video. A lot of lessons learned there, guys. One thing I always thought was strange about the Gen 1s is there's no mid skid plate here. Between the engine and the rear, there's no skid plate. There's one for the transfer case. It's not one for the transmission pan, so that's kind of weird. I do want something back here protecting it. So we're going to look with a few companies to see what they offer. I know Fouts, Forged also makes something. So we're going to look at a few companies, see what our options are to get a skid plate in here. She's gonna need it. Overall, like I said, guys, pretty good shape considering she's an East Coast truck. Very little. It's all real surface rust. Rust. Everything that metal has rust. There's a lot of mud in there too. We're gonna get this oil changed. You definitely want to do this often if you off-road. We're also gonna get the front and the rear diff oil changed. So that's also a big one. You got to get those done and done often if you're going to off-road. All right, let's take a look at the interior. The interior looks excellent for the age of this truck. Remember, this is a 2014. This truck is in excellent shape. It's got the upgraded red interior, rousted the embroidery. Everything looks super clean. It looks like this truck never saw kids. The sunroof works. That's the surprising part. I was actually scared to open this, but it works. Yeah, everything in here works, but there are a couple complaints that I do have. This truck technically has a front-facing camera, but the procedure to get it to work is ridiculous. So it's basically useless. It's not like in the Gen 2 where you can just push a button and you can get the cameras. No, nothing that I don't like. That Roush case is really nice. It has two problems. One, when it's hot, it really blocks the airflow coming out of this fan. It doesn't come out all that great. And two, at night, it's too bright. It doesn't dim with the rest of these. Not sure if they wired it wrong or what, but that's super annoying. Another area, there's very little storage here. In the Gen 2, you have your cup holders, you have a little slip, plus you have that whole area there, and all these upfitter switches and everything are up here, with the off-road buttons being on the steering wheel. In here, everything's here, and there is no storage. There's no pocket storage on the sides. There's nothing. So this is something we're going to take care of. We've already ordered a mag mount for this bad boy because we want to get this out of the way. We'll probably end up putting it like right here or something like that, just so that it's out of the way. We are going to probably get some like little pockets or something so they can have stuff up here. So we're going to get the little pockets to be able to hold stuff in here. It's not as sturdy. Like one thing that I've always liked about the Gen 2 is I can lean on this thing and it was fine. But this one sounds like it's already broken, which is not good. It doesn't hold the weight as much and it's not as big. Another thing that really sucks is these are your ports right here for your phone to connect it to the sync system. I think these are only 2.5 amps because when you connect your phone and your phone is on, they don't provide enough power to charge it. And if you have an iPad, it can't actually charge an iPad at all. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. That really sucks. The other thing too is the sync system is a little slow. And let me show you guys what I mean. Let's say I want to turn my ventilated seat on. Yeah, see that? It's pretty shitty. The response is not that great. And then there's definitely something wrong with our parking brake because every time I hit it, it feels like I have to be able to squat like 200 pounds just to push that thing down. Not sure what's going on there. Aside from that, guys, everything else is in really good working order. That works. So it's a risk when you buy these trucks, guys. If you're buying one, check the sunroof, make sure it works if it comes with one. If it doesn't, that's over a $5,000 replacement. You don't want to get stuck trying to fix that on your own. Probably another thing I want to fix too is all these lights. They're all ugly yellow lights. I want to switch that all to LED at some point. So I know that there's a few kits out there, so we're going to get that taken care of. Another thing I forgot about, Roush logo is pretty faded. We're just going to take this thing off. We don't need it anymore, but yeah. The windshield wipers ended up rubbing out the middle of it, and the owner just left it. I don't know why. We're going to take that off. It's ugly. Fucking antenna. Looking at the back. Seats are almost perfect. They've never seen kids. One thing I do want to point out here, though, is that these seats don't fold down. Like the passenger one folds down on the Gen 2s. On the Gen 1s, it doesn't. Everything is supposed to be under the seat. Well, this truck is missing the whole jack system. The guy just never, I guess he just didn't leave it in here. So I'm missing the whole jack and all that stuff. I'm missing like a little tube for the gas, which is going to suck, but I might have to find one. But we're going to use Built Right Industries' little rear seat release to open that up and be able to use that back end for storage. I also wish this was kind of flat like it is on the Gen 2. I really hate this little bump out, but I get it. So we're going to try to leverage that as much as we can. We are going to add our L-track like we did before. So we got to get creative on this one because bolt locations are very different on this truck. We're going to add maybe some L-track back here, maybe between the two bolt holes, and then we got to see what our options are to add some L-track over here. Maybe we replace these little furniture things with bolts and put our L-track right there. I don't know. We're gonna have to look at a couple options, but we definitely need a way to tie down gear back here because dealer decided to oil this to make this look cleaner, and it just made it slipperier. So it has an intercom, but it's way over there. So for me, when I'm on my own, how the hell am I gonna reach that? How am I gonna reach that? Honey? Honey? Stop it! Just turn it up! Turn it off!
No.
I'll show you on camera.
Asshole.
Alright guys, so that's it. That's everything wrong with the truck. There's not that much. Overall, she is in excellent shape considering the year. She's got very low mileage and she's got good bones. I mean, even though she came from the Rust Belt, she's in better condition than the Raptor Core truck that's a California truck. We're really happy with it. But she's not perfect and we are going to be fixing all those areas. To give you guys a little history of what's going on with the suspension. The whole suspension was installed incorrectly by the shop that did this original build. The front end geometry is not right. The slot deletes are probably in the wrong location. Axles are rubbing when there shouldn't be. So it's not a good installation. Even you guys saw the rear tab welds, those are pretty ugly. The good thing is this is a truck that SBC's been trying to chase down for years now. Their whole goal was to redo all the bad work that this shop did. It's their kit. They want it done right. It doesn't matter who installed it. They want it done right. So SVC under warranty is going to replace the whole front kit. They want it all gone because there's just too many mistakes on it. And they're going to replace it with their latest generation. The rear end, we're going to redo the tabs in the back, going to redo the strike plates and all that stuff, get the correct strike plates back there and get it all done right. While she's at SVC, I'm going to have all the shocks rebuilt. All the shocks are going to get rebuilt. We're going to try to refresh what needs to be refreshed, replace everything that needs to be replaced, and get those shocks completely rebuilt so that they're ready to go. We're also going to be doing some shock tuning with those shocks. So we're going to start off just the base tune we get from the rebuilder, and then we're going to go out with SVC, do their tune, and then we're going to spend the money at some point and get on one of like KDM or one of the big companies' shock tuning days and do some proper shock tuning on the desert full weight. There are other areas we need to address too. Like I was telling you guys, these beds are very weak. We got to get some bed support from end to end. We probably have to figure something out with our chase track, so we're going to work with SVC a little bit on doing that. And this truck already has some of the others that just needs to be done, right? Like the high power steering pump's already done. We are going to do some frame reinforcement on that front end. It needs it, so we're going to do some more frame reinforcement. We're going to try to get creative with our storage in the cab. That's a big one. We're going to relocate that antenna. I hate that thing. We got to relocate it. We got to find a better spot. Another area we're going to address is the cooling of the front end. Need more cooling up. We've already got some advice on how to take care of some of the stuff with the transmission. So we're going to do like a bypass valve there, increase the cooler size, and really get better cooling going on in that front end. That's going to be a big priority so that we don't burn it up. And we're going to see how it does too. Once we get it back from SVC, we're going to take it on the desert, see how it does. If she starts overheating and the temperatures start getting close, we're going to do it sooner rather than later. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. I know we probably missed a couple of things. So a lot of you more experienced Gen 1 guys, let us know, what did we miss? What are some common areas you need to look for in a Gen 1 that need to be fixed, that need to be addressed? We missed any? Let us know. Put them in the comments below and we'll do an update video here as we're working through the truck and as we're doing all of our updates. All right, guys, thanks for watching.